Good afternoon, everyone. So continuing with this schemes, we are going to be doing 5 more ministries today. And we are starting with the Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers. Okay, so we'll highlight the things which we need here, the points which are important. Of course, you've already been given the basic concepts on different schemes. So the first point which you remember for any scheme which you are studying, that's the name of the ministry. Okay, this document in that sense is very helpful because they have categorized schemes according to ministries. So that will also help you, learn that way. Maybe you can prepare your own list also, just ministry and scheme, so that, that revision can become a little smoother. Under this Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers, the scheme we have, this is a new scheme, Assistance to Medical Device Clusters for Common Facility Scheme. So chemical and fertilizer, may pharmaceutical and medical equipment, all of those things will come under this ministry. So here we need to first understand what is a medical device. Okay, that's the first term. Now, medical device would be anything related to your hospitals or medicines or treatment part other than the medicines. Other than anything which is chemical, the medicine, the drug, leaving that, whatever other things are there, right from, syringes to maybe bigger devices like pacemakers and machinery, like a CT scan is supposed to be done, equipment for that, gloves, masks, all these apparatus, everything will come under, everything will be included in medical device other than the medicines. Okay, leaving the medicines, whatever is there in this sector, that is the medical device. Now, for India, the pharmaceutical industry is actually doing very well. Okay, we have a very well-developed pharmaceutical sector. We are exporting a lot of medicines to different parts of the world. So there we are doing well. This is a region, the medical device region, where we still need some push, where there is a need that we need to develop these industries more. So keeping that in mind, and so that the holistic idea of medical equipment can be developed in India, this scheme has come up. Another term is cluster. So we'll understand what this cluster is supposed to mean. This is a generic term, not just for medical devices, but this term, when you use an industries cluster, it means you are combining different parts of an industry in one particular location. Like if you talk about developing an industrial cluster, so that industrial cluster would maybe be somewhere near places where research and development has taken place, educational institutions related to that sector is there. Then any legal structure which is needed, that is linked to that. Local government, state agencies, whatever their role is, they should be linked to that cluster. They should directly be involved there. Then everything from suppliers to consumers, that whole value chain. That, okay, this is where it is needed. This is the different kinds of raw material which go into production of different products. All of that can come in. And because medical devices can be of many different types, so all those different types of industries can be in one area. Along with this, the labor, the people who are, experts in that field, they can all be linked there. They can all be present there, right? Like if Bangalore has an IT cluster, okay, there's an IT hub there, then all the IT professionals, they would be available in that area. The good IT related colleges, they would be present in that particular area or in that particular city. That's how clusters develop. It kind of smoothens the process, it kind of streamlines operation. So the government now wants to promote cluster in medical devices, and that is going to be done through creation of common facilities. The infrastructure is going to be common, like a lot of equipment, a lot of machinery which might be needed there, that might be very expensive or that might have to be imported. So the idea of a cluster is you set up those common hubs. Okay, you set up those common centers, common facilities, which everybody can use at a shared cost. So that will make sure you have the latest technology, you have the latest equipment. Along with that, the cost for everyone is going to be less. If this wasn't a cluster, if it wasn't like, many industries in one place, then in different parts of the country, say, delivering those services could be difficult. But if they're all at the same place, there is a possibility of common facilities. And in this, they're also talking about common testing facilities, testing areas. So quick facts as taken from your document. The idea is to promote self-reliance in manufacturing of medical devices. Currently, we are dependent on a lot of imports for these medical devices. We want to go on to a situation where there is going to be self-reliance. And you will find this theme being repeated in most of your government schemes, that there is a lot of emphasis on production in India, manufacture in India, reducing of imports, self-reliance. That will be one very common theme through most of the schemes which we have. They have a tenure, the time period through which they want to incentivize setting up of these sectors, time period they've mentioned. So this is 23-24 till 26-27. The idea again here is for this limited period, that once you give the impetus, once these common facilities they are set up, then after that, they will automatically keep rolling, then they'll become self-sufficient, when that whole system will pick up. Okay. Assistance for common facilities and assistance for testing facilities. So there are two components here. Ek to hai setting up of common facilities, and then assistance for testing facilities. Testing of medical devices. You have, because medical devices and anything which is going to be used in medical science and treatment, that will need a very thorough testing. And testing has to be on international standards. You cannot really have any kind of lag here. So there have to be uniform standardized testing. So testing facilities or testing centers, they can also be common, and they should be available anywhere there is a medical cluster for everyone to use. And then project management agency is the Small Industries Development Bank of India. Okay, so for every project, there is some agency which is going to be managing it, which is going to be managing the funds, because in this scheme, they're going to be giving assistance. People will apply to set up clusters, to set up common facility, testing facilities, and the government will give them some money. The government is going to give them some funds, and those funds are going to be dispersed through this SIDBI bank. Further, if we talk about this, the two areas which I've told you, assistance for common facilities, the common center, the common equipment or machinery or whatever is going to be there for those medical clusters. So you have a variation in how funding will happen in Himalayan and northeastern states, and then in the other states. Why is there this difference? So Himalayan and northeastern states, they will fund up to 90% of the project cost, and other states only 70%. Okay. Can you simplify and explain this? Okay. So yes, of course, one factor is definitely this, that you want to promote development in this, you want to incentivize growth. The second thing is, like, whenever there is an industrial setup involved, in terms of projects, the projects usually will be smaller in size. Okay, the size, because of the terrain and because of the population and labor and everything being available, projects are usually smaller than maybe which we are going to be set up in any other part of the country, like big cities, where already a lot of system is there. So there, because of the smaller size of the project, they've like kind of given an upper limit. Of course, total amount they're fixed, 20 crore is going to be the upper limit. But if this is much less, right, if the project cost is say just 5 crores in a particular area, then the government would increase its funding and give 90% of it. The same way it is going to be for the testing facility also. There the cost is, the funding assistance is going to be 5 crores. Okay. So again, same logic. 90% project cost or 5 crore, whichever is less. Here 70% project cost and 5 crore, whichever is less. The two important points here in this cluster scheme, funding is for two things: common facilities and testing facilities. The last point here, the additional point which you need to emphasize or which you need to know about, is that this year or the previous year, there has been a medical device policy also which has come up. So government has laid out this policy again. This policy will mainly talk about self-reliance, about innovation. So if you see here, that's saying that you need to have a patient-centric approach, give best services to the patient at a lower cost. If they're manufactured in India, the cost will definitely be lower. Then become a global leader in manufacturing of this, and there's a projection also 10 to 12%. Again, this number is not something which you need to remember, but just to get an idea that, okay, you want a greater global market share. Then this industry is big in terms of number also. They are saying to help the medical device sector grow from the present 11 billion to 50 billion by 2030. This is again another projection. Vision, if you have to simplify and think about the vision, is that you want to produce, you want to have a patient-centric approach where you want patients to have access to the latest technologies available, and you want that to be produced in India so that the cost for the patient is also not much. Strategy to doing this: enabling infrastructure, research and development, innovation, human resource development, brand positioning, and awareness creation. Okay. One special point here in terms of how this is going to be delivered. The scheme is using, for a lot of schemes, what the government does is that it creates a special purpose vehicle. A special purpose vehicle basically is like a subsidiary to a company, which is going to be created for a specific purpose. So if there is an industry, if there is a company who's already maybe doing this, and now they want to take some funding, they want to take some help through this scheme. So for that, they'll have to create, or the government design of the program is this, that a special purpose vehicle is going to be there. And with this special purpose vehicle, like of course in a cluster, multiple companies are going to be there. So multiple companies, multiple ventures can become a part of it. No company can be taking more than 40% of the share, but you can combine and have this. And through this special purpose vehicle, the funding of the scheme is going to be delivered. Okay, if there is an entity which is individually, applying to this scheme in any particular region, for that also they'll have to create a special account. That's just to make sure that whatever fund is coming for this particular, from this particular scheme, it's only used for this purpose. Because there is a possibility that companies can have multiple endeavors. So you don't want this to be diluted. You want this to be used specifically for medical device clusters. Okay. All right, then. We'll move further to the next scheme, also under this Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers. So this is on the medicines, on the drugs now. That was medical devices. This is going to be on medicines. So we have the Pradhan Mantri Bharatiya Jan Aushadhi Pariyojana. And this scheme, this has been around for many, many years. And the scheme's names actually keep on changing. So this scheme came in 2008, okay? Long before this, it took this name. And then they changed the name to Jan Aushadhi scheme, and then further Pradhan Mantri Jan Aushadhi scheme, then Pradhan Mantri Bharatiya Jan Aushadhi scheme. And that's what most of the times happens with government schemes. Okay, if they cannot, you cannot really have all new schemes all the time. And that might be challenging to have new schemes. So, जो scheme थी पिछली government की आपको अच्छी लगी, rebranding करो, नाम ऐसा होना चाहिए कि लगे आपकी scheme है, आपने ही सोचा है, photo आपकी होनी चाहिए, right? So, with that, the idea is, this is a very, very promising idea. Also because of the fact that we are doing very well when it comes to the pharmaceutical sector. In this, when we make medicines, there are two concepts here. One is a generic medicine, one is a branded medicine. Okay. A branded medicine would be something which, suppose there is a company, there was a pharmaceutical company, it's trying to find out a new medicine. There's a whole lot of research, development, which is there. And there are clinical trials. It takes a lot of years for a medicine to roll out. And that is what makes that medicine expensive. Okay. After that formula is ready, after that has been tested, after that comes out, then other companies who have not done the research, who have not done the trials and everything, they can also make that same medicine once they have the formulation. Okay. Like, you heard about Crocin? Do you know about this medicine, Crocin? Okay. So Crocin is a brand name drug, and the formulation which is there, that is paracetamol. Okay. So एक company ने एक दवाई बनाई, उसने अपनी दवाई को ये नाम दिया Crocin. This is like the name of the product which the brand has given. But it is basically, in its chemical preparation, it is paracetamol. So after this company, other companies can also start making paracetamol. Okay. But these companies have not done any research, any trials. They have not spent 15 years on that particular medicine. So their cost of producing paracetamol is very low. उनको formula मिला है, based on that formula they can prepare it. But because this includes the cost of research and everything, it's going to be expensive. Okay, so you can see here, these rupees is indicating how expensive this is as compared to the generic medicine. And branded medicine एक type का एक ही होगा, because the company is going to hold a patent for it. And normal clause is the patent runs for 20 years, and after that, it is going to be available for everyone to produce. Now, India is doing very well in this generic medicine industry. We have a limited brand name drugs, but we are supplying generic drugs to all the parts of the world. Okay. This is pharmaceutical industry is a very big part of our exports also. Okay. So if Crocin is 30 rupees, this will be 3 rupees. Okay, that kind of gap is there, sometimes more also. Now, the scheme, which is saying Jan Aushadhi is the term they have used for reference to generic medicines. So there is a need to promote generic medicines because they are going to be giving the same results. They're the same formulation, but they're coming at a very low cost. So there is a need to promote this so that people can have better access to healthcare at a reduced cost. Their out-of-pocket expenditure should not be increased. So under this scheme, what has been done is that special Jan Aushadhi centers have been set up. They're going to be shops, they're going to be retail outlets, which will be selling these generic medicines. And the government gives some incentives to set up those centers, and along with all the activity which they do for promotion of that or the awareness of using generic medicines. So the purpose of this scheme is to provide quality generic medicines at affordable price to the masses. Here, affordability is very important. Okay, so medicines are going to be good, generic medicines are there, but this price component is one of the biggest reasons for promotion of this particular generic medicine. It is a central sector scheme. You understand what is a central sector scheme? You just learned that today. What is a central sector scheme? 100% the central government is going to be paying for this. Now, in this, you have a special retail outlet. Okay, the Pradhan Mantri Bharatiya Jan Aushadhi Pariyojana Kendra. Okay, so this is basically a chemist shop with the special generic medicine. The government approved Jan Aushadhi center is going to be there. And there is an implementing agency also, Pharmaceutical and Medical Devices Bureau of India. There have been questions where UPSC has asked implementing agencies. Okay, so that's why they have been specifically mentioned here so that you can just remember this.
Hello aspirants, ready to master the UPSC Prelims exams? Introducing Sandhan, the personalized test series from Vision IAS. Gain access to over 15,000 high-quality questions customized for your personal study needs. Choose between Vision IAS and UPSC previous year questions for your tests. Sharpen your time management with timed assessments under exam conditions. Get tailored feedback and recommendations from targeted improvement. Build your confidence through customized practice sessions. Take control of your preparation. Enroll in the Sandhan Personalized Test Series today.
Further, if we look at this, the objectives. Objectives is just an extension of the ideas which we have discussed. Extended coverage of quality generic medicine so as to reduce out-of-pocket expenditure. Reduce cost of treatment, awareness. So basically quality medicines, awareness and employment. Employment, why? Because there will be people who will be needed to run these centers. Okay, and this has been in news because of this also, because of the eligibility of the people who will run this center. So there is this Primary Agriculture Credit Society. So the government has a fixed criteria that who can set up these centers. Okay, so in that extension, so it can be government can have some agencies which can run, or it can be some NGOs which can be running it. And now they have also added this agriculture credit societies, which are eligible to open these Jan Aushadhi Kendras. The only provision is, because this is a chemist shop, you need some technical expertise also. So a pharmacist has to be employed. If you're setting up a center here, then it must have a pharmacist, like somebody who has done B Pharma or an advanced degree there. That person should definitely be employed there at the center. But then you have many other organizations you can also apply for this center. How it will work is, the products which will be available here on these, in these stores, in these kendras, you will have Ayurvedic products like the immunity boosting products. Do you know any immunity boosting Ayurvedic products? Ashwagandha and Giloi and all of those things. COVID mein all these things were very popular, so I think these Jan Aushadhi Kendras would have made a good business that time. Okay. Then some basic surgical devices and medicines concerning to all the main groups of medicine. So cardiovascular means heart diseases, cancer medicines, diabetes, infections, allergy, all kinds of medicines are going to be available, but only the generic versions of that. You cannot go to the store and ask for crocin. They'll not have crocin. They'll have a generic variant of paracetamol available. In this, there are some other initiatives also. One is, there is a Jan Aushadhi Suvidha sanitary napkin. And the scheme specifically mentions that a sanitary napkin is going to be available for 1 rupee per pad, which is again an initiative under the Clean India and Green India, because these are going to be biodegradable pads. Along with this, you have the Jan Aushadhi Sugham app. This is for location. If you want to find out if there is a Jan Aushadhi center around you, then you can use this app. This will give the details, and what medicines are available, it will give a detail of that also. So any such information which is needed, that will be available through this app. One aspect is, when there is this discussion on generic medicines versus branded medicines, is that, how we have this general tendency where we think that something which is expensive must be better, right? So a very big part of this whole exercise of promoting generic medicines is to break that notion that generic medicines are not inferior because of their reduced cost. And for that, just to get credibility to that, it is very important that the quality standards of these medicines are maintained. So this scheme has an inbuilt requirement, has a whole detailing on where you can procure these medicines from. Like there will be so many companies which will be making generic medicines. So the Jan Aushadhi Center is supposed to take medicines only where there is specific certification, only where it is got approval. And they have set up criteria for that. You have the WHO Good Manufacturing Practices Unit. So if somebody has a certification of this, then that can be used. Or you have the Food and Safety Standards Authority of India, FSSAI, that also certifies different companies and their medicines. So that can also be used. Along with that, you also have this National Accreditation Board for Testing and Calibration Laboratories, which will also give a certification, which will also give an accreditation, so that can be used. Along with this, the government scheme also talks about how there needs to be a regular monitoring. You need to check. And if anywhere there is some lag, there is some problem with the supply chain, or the quality of the medicine is not appropriate, then there can be banning of that particular center and that supplier. So that is also inbuilt in this provision. They've set up the organization which was mentioned here, this one, Pharmaceutical and Medical Devices Bureau of India. This is actually a PSU. Okay, this is a PSU, a public sector unit, which is also going to be acting as an independent society for any monitoring which needs to be done. Okay, so this is all about the Jan Aushadhi scheme. The idea of generic medicine is important. That idea has been asked also earlier in the exam. So currently, the development of the scheme was just in the sense that it has expanded in who can apply for this scheme. Yeah. Generic medicines can be made after the patent has expired. That is for sure. Sometimes the company can allow that earlier also. There is an idea called compulsory licensing. Okay, so if that compulsory license is there, then the companies or other companies can be allowed to sell it before the patent has expired also. And many a times when it is in the case of life-saving drugs, when it is in the case of some situations like maybe there's some potent, very expensive cancer drug, so there it can be asked. And if the company doesn't give, many a times it goes into litigation also in the international trade forums. कि ये तो चाहिए ही चाहिए, our people cannot afford this medicine. ठीक है? Okay. Then Ministry of Communication. In this, you have the Bharat Net. Again, an old scheme which was called National Optical Fiber Network. And then it was rebranded by the new government as Bharat Net. This is to provide internet connectivity to rural areas primarily. And this is considered to be the world's biggest rural internet connectivity program. Now, the problem with rural areas here is this, that the primary internet providers which are there, like Airtel or Jio or anything, their network is not very good when it comes to the interior of the country. Everywhere it's not working very well. And they've not made an investment in those areas also to set up their fibers and all of that. So the government has taken the initiative upon itself that we are going to bridge the gap. In urban areas, internet connectivity is available, but because it's not there in rural areas, we are going to bring in optical fibers. We are going to bring in this internet to the rural areas. And this program, the BharatNet, is going to be that internet service provider targeting mainly the rural areas of the country. In this particular scheme now, the purpose is to provide last mile connectivity to all gram panchayats. So the starting point was this, that you provide connectivity first to the gram panchayat of a particular area. You cannot provide it to everyone in a village, but the starting point is create one focal point, and the focal point is the gram panchayat where all government activities are going to be there. So all the gram panchayats in the country, they should be connected. Then this is again a central sector scheme. After that, for funding, they have an organization which has been created, Universal Service Obligation Fund. So this is just a means through which funds are going to be dispersed. Then the implementing agency is Bharat Broadband Network. So this was first set up, BBN, and then it was merged into BSNL only. Okay, the telecoms service provider which is there, BSNL, this Bharat Broadband Network, first it was set up separately under this project, the National Optical Fiber Network, and then it was merged. Now it is a part of BSNL only, it's not a separate entity. Okay. The objective here is to provide 100 Mbps bandwidth broadband connectivity to all gram panchayats in the country. Okay, not only do they want to have internet facility, but they want to make sure that it is a good quality internet, it is a high speed internet, because on these internet connectivities, the communication lines opens up a lot of other services, a lot of other possibilities also. So to enable, then you need a reliable system, you need a system which is going to stand, which is going to stay, so that further uske upar whatever needs to be developed, that can be developed. The approximate number of gram panchayats, that's 2.6 lakhs in the country. Okay, so that's the part of the target. And it is a component of your Digital India. We'll talk about the Digital India scheme also, because the government has greatly increased the funds which it is going to put into this Digital India scheme. And this would be one way in which we'll be achieving digitization or Digital India scheme in the country. If we look at the features, this scheme is supposed to be applied in different phases. And if we look at what is happening in each phase here, the first phase of BharatNet is to set up optical fibers. See, internet connectivity, one way is, or the latest way to do it is through setting up optical fibers in which that network will go. And then you can take some help from satellite systems, from radio networks. At this present situation, in the first phase, the idea was that, you know, smaller goals and steps they want to achieve. Block headquarters to gram panchayats. Okay, that was the starting point. That whatever existing network is there, in whatever form, there must be some existing network. Like BSNL का कुछ network होगा, railway का कुछ network होगा, या कोई state का network होगा. Whatever networks are there existing, use that to bring some connectivity to the gram panchayats and set them, connect them through internet, through the block headquarters. That was the first phase. That is the first phase. We have not completed any of these phases as of now. Okay, so this is the first phase. Second phase is where you use again radio, satellite, optical fibers, and in this you bring in more players. Private sectors can be brought in, PSUs can be brought in, and again, it just means expanding that. Whatever is happening in the first phase in terms of connections of gram panchayats, that has to continue, and setting up of optical fibers. In each of these states, laying of new fibers, which is started in the first phase, that will keep going on. But at least the gram panchayats should be set up, should have completed. In the first phase, we are talking about existing networks only. Here, we are trying to bring more options. That's the only next step here. In the third step, there is supposed to be future proofing of network. So currently what has happened is, like, why this was in news is because the government, the ministry has brought up and said that we have made 2.1 lakh gram panchayat service ready. So first phase mein, where you had said there are 2.6, out of those 2.6, 2.1 lakh gram panchayats, they've completed their first phase of being connected, being service ready in terms of their collections to the blocks. For the second phase, again, they have said that 71,000 are service ready. These numbers are not really important. Yes, how many gram panchayats are in India? That number you can remember, right? That can still be usable somewhere. Probably not in prelims, but in main somewhere that can be used. But the second phase also, we have done it partially, but somewhere around 50% of the work is done, but not completely. Third phase, we have not reached. Okay. In this, one very important aspect is that once we are setting up fiber networks, once we are bringing some form of internet connectivity, we want to also reach its, increase its reach. We don't want that to be limited to gram panchayats. Once you've set up an optical fiber network, you want that to grow, and that internet facility should reach households. So there you need the local internet connection provider. Okay, like we had, you know, those cable TV network providers. So here now you need internet service providers at the village level, and these village level entrepreneurs or Bharat Net Udyamis, they are going to be brought in. Again, this is a way of creating more employment. The idea is that the fiber connections the government is doing, okay, national fiber optic connection network, wo government set up kar rahi hai. Along with that, all the other necessary equipments to provide internet to households like routers or fiber optics, that is going to be provided by the Bharat, this BBNL, okay, and what happens is this village level entrepreneur who's going to be working here, the revenue which he shares with the government is going to be on a 50-50% basis. Okay, so this is creating employment, and this is mainly for supply beyond the government setup, for supply beyond the gram panchayats and everything. Because once a network is there, once the satellite connectivity is working, then further you can take that and use that network to connect the homes. So this means more internet, reliable internet services in that area, along with creating jobs, creating a method of revenue. Other than this, the importance of this scheme can be thought of how this project is one of the largest rural connectivity programs in the world. And the fact that further on, as it expands, we want to explore more private sector involvement also in it, so that we can have more benefits like e-governance, e-health, e-education, banking, digital access, or to other infrastructure service, all of that can work out. That will be the ultimate aim in line with our idea of digital India. Okay. For this scheme, the main point is rural connectivity of our gram panchayats. That's the basic idea, and Ministry of Communications is the ministry involved here. After this, Ministry of Defense. First is Aditi scheme. Now your, the bureaucrats who devise these schemes, they're very good with acronyms. See, they've named it Aditi so that, you can remember. It's easy for you to remember. The full form, however, will be complex here. So this is acing development of innovation technologies with IDEX scheme. So this IDEX, first of all, is important. So what is this IDEX? So IDEX is Innovation for Defense Excellence. Okay, this is a platform which is for innovation in defense technologies. And there is an organization called Defense Innovation Organization, or DIO. They've also mentioned here that this DIO is a combination of Bharat Electronics Limited and Hindustan Aeronauticals Limited. Okay. These two organizations, they've been combined specifically for the purpose of defense organization, and under that, they've set up a framework called IDEX. Innovation for Defense Excellence. What they basically do is they set up different challenges. Okay, like the army will come up with some requirements, the air force will come up with some of its requirements, and they open that up to different startups. That okay, this is our challenge, this is what we want to achieve. Then it's going to be like a competition. Different companies, different startups, they bring in their proposal, and the winner of that program, that is given some fund. Okay, like they've mentioned it also. IDEX DO provides the winner. It could be startups, it could be individual. Mostly they are startups only. Of the Defense India Startup Challenge, funding up to 1.5 crores, depending on the costing of the project. Okay. To motivate young innovators, IDEX has expanded to IDEX Prime. So if there is some project which is bigger, more important, then funds up to 10 crores can also be given. Okay. Aditi scheme is somewhere linked to this concept. Okay, Aditi schemes will also have such programs. They'll also have some challenges, and they are going to be aligned to this IDEX idea, to this IDEX platform, and that's where they are working. Your article here, the description, where it is mentioning the objectives, it's not mentioning defense sector, just mentioning critical technologies. So this, because this Aditi, which we are studying, which we are mentioning here, we are studying it in linkage with the IDEX scheme. This is for defense technologies only. So if we are looking into the features, the aim is to develop 30 deep tech critical and strategic technologies. When you call a technology critical and strategic, it means it is something which is important for the country. It is something which is critical, without which we cannot work. And because anything within the defense structure is linked to the strategic importance in a way that you don't want anybody else to know about it also. Okay, there is security concern also. So for defense technologies, indigenization or manufacture in India is a very, very important point. Because if you're buying it from another country, the other country knows what equipment you have. But if you make it on your own, you can maintain that secrecy. You can maintain that technology and how it works. So security of that, in the sense of its strategic significance, that's very important. Then, who are eligible? Eligibility will be startups. They are eligible to receive granted aids or up to 25 crores under this Aditi schemes for research, development, innovation in defense technology. And they've set up a time period of 24 to 25, 26, through which the money is going to be distributed through different Aditi challenges under the IDEX platform, and they can also give money to different incubators. So there is this aspect of incubators. Different industries have incubators. Incubators basically means it's going to be a setup, it's going to be a forum where people interested in technology development in a particular area, they'll come together. There'll be some people who will be funding, some venture capitalist or angel investor kind of thing. And basically, incubators are for encouraging investment. So those incubators, if there is some project happening in those incubators, the Aditi scheme can give money to those projects also. Of course, they have criteria which they have set up, that what should be the status of the incubator, what is the legal state, what is the experience. Again, all of that is not very important. 3 years hona chahiye, 5 years hona chahiye, like that. What you should know is that funding can be given to individuals or startups directly, or it can be given through incubators. If there's an incubator where a project is running, so funds can be given to that also, or directly through startups. Right? This is what I've mentioned here also. Financial support through Aditi challenge winners and through partner incubators. Either of the two. They've mentioned criteria also. You can take a look at that. Then objectives. Objectives of this scheme or coming up with this program is rapid development. For this scheme, the idea is that they want innovation, like, you saw the tenure. Tenure is just till 2026 only. So research, development and innovation here, you want results to come up in a time-bound manner. It's not like a scheme. I mean, the government at some point of time can decide to extend it, but as of now, like this is a new scheme which has come up, there is a time sensitive zone here. It is a time bound scheme that, okay, in this much time, let's see how much innovation we can promote. Then indigenization of critical technology, reducing our dependencies on foreign technologies. After that, spiral development. For defense technology, this term is very important. When you say spiral development, it means that like IT may use hota hai, right? If you're familiar with how IT sector works, there they have spiral development. Iska matlab hai everybody is going to be linked. The developer, the tester, there are developing engineers, testing engineers, and the user. Through Aditi's scheme, they are going to create an ecosystem where there will be spiral development. Spiral development matlab jo develop kar raha hai, jo use kar raha hai, test karega, they will all be connected so that they can give timely feedback and improve this. This spiral development is supposed to be also brought into the existing schemes or programs running under IDEX. This is just a way to improve it. Just to get input from multiple sources so that the quality of whatever is being done, that is going to be improved. And build technology watch tool. So see, defense technology, or in fact any technology for that matter, it grows very fast around the world. And here when you're talking about indigenization and innovation, you should be able to have the awareness of what all is happening around the world. So in this technology watch tool, one thing is you watch the developments happening in the world. Okay. The second aspect would be that the Army, Air Force, Navy, they are also going to be bringing in their requirements. Okay, that this is the kind of technology which we need. And so that based on those requirements, in those workshops, the ideas which are expressed, new ideas can be formatted. So this creation of technology watch tool, this is important. Spiral development is important. Then rapid development and indigenization, of course, is indigenization of critical technologies. Defense technologies, defense innovation is a part of our critical technologies. ठीक है? Okay. You need, in this particular scheme, you need to know what this scheme is about. You need to know about IDEX. You need to know about DO. You need to know about concepts like spiral development and critical technologies. These are the keywords which you must take away from this scheme. Then you have Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. Here you have your Digital India scheme. Now see, Digital India program is not really a scheme in the sense like, Aditi was a scheme. This is more of a very broad platform. We call such things as umbrella schemes. Umbrella scheme means it has a lot of components. It's more of an idea, like Make in India, Skill India. You have Digital India. And there can be many, many ways through which this can be executed. One is, of course, BharatNet. One component we have seen. One component on how Digital India is going to be coming forward is through BharatNet. Now, objective of Digital India, to transform India into a digitally empowered society and knowledge economy. You want to digitally empower society. Then to ensure digital access, in digital inclusion and digital empowerment. Digital access means everybody should have access to digital technology. There shouldn't be a limitation. Then people should be digitally included. It should not be that people in urban areas have access to it, people in rural areas don't have access to it. And empowerment means it should create better opportunities for them. It should create better options for them to have a job, to study. In whatever way they are seeking empowerment, that should happen. Then, to ensure that government services are available to citizens electronically. The government also wants to reach people, wants to increase its approach through the digital medium. Now, in this, you have three main key areas. And the examples in these three areas which are present in this document, they are very good. Because there is always a likelihood of questions being asked where they give you like 5 points and then you have to identify which of these are a part of Digital India program. So the first is digital infrastructure as a source of utility for every citizen. So every citizen should have some utility. And if you have the document, you'll see the examples which they have given. One is high-speed internet for everyone. Then digital identity. So identity in terms of your Aadhaar identity to birth certificate, death certificate, all of those things should be available in a digital format. Then mobile services, bank accounts, accounting through digital mediums, your payments through digital mediums. There are all services which individual citizens can avail. At the same time, there should be safety and security of using this cyberspace. With digital mediums, that idea of privacy and safety around that medium, that also has to come in. Second is governance and services on demand. So services in real time, like you can apply for a passport online. This would be a part of your Digital India program. Then you can get to read about what government is doing. That can happen online. You have the Digital Sansad app and things like that, which for information dissemination. And services also, different services can be availed through digital platforms. So that is governance. And then empowerment, of course, where you can talk about literacy, you can talk about education, you can talk about saving your documents, something like DigiLocker, things like that. All of those will be a part of digital empowerment. So first is services for individuals, for citizens, then government services, government programs and access to them through digital movement, and empowerment. It's supposed to do something better and supposed to increase the dimensions of different services, and that becomes your digital empowerment. Now there is this diagram. This is very important. Okay, even if under the scheme we don't have very exact features as to how it will work, these 9 pillars, again this could be something as a question, that which of these are pillars of 9 of Digital India, because this is standard. This will be something you will have to learn. So you have broadband highways, then you have universal access to phones, everybody should have a phone, public internet access program, e-governance, reforming government through technology, e-Kranti, electronic delivery of services, information for all, electronic manufacturing, target net zero imports, IT for jobs, and early harvest programs. So this idea of the 9 pillars of Digital India is basically how they want to apply Digital India in different areas, in different sections, through what kinds of services. Of course, under each of these pillars, there will be many ways in which they are going to be delivering it, or they would want to deliver it. So again, that opens up a very wide sense. But in this, the 9 pillars which are there, because again, there can be a question giving you 4 of these pillars and identify how many of them are included in Digital India. So ये जो ऐसे standard terms हैं, which again, like, you know, pillars which the government has set up as a part of their program, this you will need to learn here. Broadband highways just means that you are extending the connectivity of your internet to all the reaches. Just increased access to all areas. They're calling it highways. That on all networks, in all regions, you'll have broadband connectivity. Early harvest programs means application of digital technology to agriculture. Okay, not exactly to do with harvesting or early harvesting seasons or anything like that, but this is for agriculture application. Okay. Mostly this comes as different forms of interventions through information, yeah, extension services, what we call. Through that, it's going to work. These are some examples of good schemes, commonly known schemes like Aadhaar, Common Service Center, DigiLocker, DigiSevak, Bharat Broadband, and there can be many more things which will come as a part of your Digital India program. These are just a few examples, the common examples which you know about. After this, you have the production linked incentive 2.0 for IT hardware. See, there are many production linked incentive schemes of the government. This one in particular is for IT hardware. What it means to have a production linked incentive scheme is that the incentive which the government is going to be providing is going to be based on performance. There are going to be some units which will be producing IT hardware, and it is their performance which will decide how much incentive they are going to be getting. The better you perform, the more you perform, the greater benefit you're going to get as a part of the government scheme. So this scheme is performance linked or production linked incentive scheme. Now in India, the IT software industry again is doing very well. Okay, we have the software industry which is catering to many parts of the world. We are very advanced in that. We provide low-cost services, so that business is going on well. But hardware, right? The machine, the computer part, all of that we are not producing. Most of that is coming from China. Probably all over the world it's coming from China, but in India also that's the thing. So because we're doing it in the software, doing well in the software sector, and there is a lot of requirement of hardware in our country, now there is a need to promote hardware industry also. And this is a scheme for that. That the IT hardware should be promoted and domestic production of that needs to be done. Okay. So manufacturing, to boost domestic manufacturing and attract large investment in value chains. Again, this is a central sector scheme. Then incentive period, 6 years during scheme tenure. And so benefit of the production performance can be availed up to 6 years. And the project management agency is Industrial Finance Corporation of India, IFCI. Now, in this particular scheme, application is not limited to just Indian players. The only criteria is production has to happen in India. Okay. But the player who can, or people who can apply for this scheme, they can be global companies also. Okay, if a global company wants to set up a unit in India, they can apply for this production linked incentive scheme. Hybrid model can be there, global, domestic companies, and domestic companies, of course, are eligible to apply here. What are the target segments? Basically, what all things, the basic hardware which will be there, laptops, tablets, PCs, servers, ultra small form factor semiconductors which are going to be used in these devices. So all of this, or any of these which is made by a company, the company can become eligible for the incentive. And the incentive is 5% of net incremental sale. So it is going to be based on how much sale a company does, and on that 5% on the sales, that is how much incentive the government is going to be giving in a particular year. So after performance has come, this is going to be calculated, and if you're a part of this scheme, then you will get the benefit. The idea here is again to set up and encourage not just the IT hardware or individual industry, but that whole chain, that whole supply chain, that whole value chain, where each and every component, like not just the laptop, but everything from the battery to whatever else is needed, everything should be prepared in India. That's the scheme here. I am not sure what that is. Can anybody help us with this? What is the ultra small form factor? I should have looked that up. I missed it. Sorry. No IT engineers in the class? Maybe वाला आंसर नहीं चलता, यूपीएससी में नेगेटिव मार्किंग हो जाती है. Okay. इतनी देर में ढूंढा नहीं किसी ने, बड़े स्लो हो यार. Last industry, last scheme. Okay, components of your desktop, components of your motherboard. Okay. So this is the PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana. Okay. This is again a reframed scheme. एक पुरानी स्कीम थी गवर्नमेंट की सोलर एनर्जी के लिए. I've given the name of that scheme also. Okay. Grid connective rural, grid connective rooftop solar program. ठीक है. Grid connected solar rooftop program. So this was a scheme according to which there was a target of setting up 40 gigawatts of solar energy through rooftop, setting up of rooftop panels. Okay. This scheme was for all kinds of establishment, domestic establishments, industrial establishments, factory, farm, everything included. The target was that 40 gigawatt of solar energy has to be produced. But this scheme did very badly. Badly in the sense that we were not able to meet its targets. Current state is like somewhere close to 15 or 17 gigawatts we have been able to produce, and the target timeline is over. So a little bit of rebranding of this scheme has been done into the scheme which we are going to be talking now. Okay. this scheme, the PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana. In this now, again, it is a rooftop solar panel program, but only for households. The grid connected scheme was for everything. Okay, industry, rooftop, sab kuch mila ke. This one is only for households and the target is 30 gigawatt. Okay, all right, no timeline, but yeah, this is the target. हाँ, और नहीं timeline tenure भी है 26-27 तक. ठीक है. So now that grid connected program that has become a part of this program, and it is expected that if this scheme does well, then that scheme जिसमें 40 gigawatts achieve करना था, it might achieve its target, because without that there's little chance that it'll be able to do it. But here the specification is that this is only for households. Okay, so people who are going to be eligible for this scheme are going to be those who have a household. That's one criteria. घर होना चाहिए, ठीक है. उसके बाद छत होनी चाहिए, right? So people who live in Delhi, they have nothing like a rooftop, right? So these are the first two starting points here. You need to have a house, you need to own a house, you need to have a house with a rooftop, and you should not have taken any kind of subsidy in any other scheme earlier. Okay, that's another situation. This is a subsidy scheme. Okay, scheme में मुफ्त है पर कुछ भी मुफ्त नहीं है यहाँ पे. अभी let's see what's happening in the scheme. Okay, purpose is to increase the share of rooftop capacity and empower residential households to generate their own electricity. So once you set up rooftop solar panels, then the energy production is going to happen on its own, and the individual houses can have access to that energy. This rooftop panels or rooftop energy, this is supposed to be incentivized through urban local bodies and Panchayati Raj institutions. Okay, so if there is a panchayat or if there is an area of an urban local body where this scheme does well, where a large number of rooftops are going to be set up, then they'll get some incentive. That's one part. Another part is building a solar village, a model solar village. Okay, this is just again an idea of awareness or promoting this concept of having solar rooftops, where what will happen is in each district of India, one village is going to be selected where all the houses are going to have solar rooftops. Okay, so just as an example to promote this idea, a model solar village is going to be set up in every district. That's another point in this scheme. That's the new thing which is happening under this scheme. Okay, let's see what they're mentioning in objectives. 30 gigawatt of solar capacity through residential rooftop solar systems. Please remember this. This is the unique point of this scheme, that this is purely for residential establishments. All the earlier schemes which we had, they did not have this limitation of just being for residential areas or just for houses. So that is it. Now, to provide free low-cost electricity to 1 crore households up to 300 units. So in this, once this is going to be there, so around 300 units of electricity is going to be provided every month. Beyond 300 might not be the capacity of the rooftop, so there then some other thing has to be involved, some other source of power will have to be brought in, but the estimate is that 300 tak to free ho jayegi. Other than, of course, the cost of setting up the system. That investment the person will have to do, but once that is done, once that is up and running, then around 300 units is going to be free. This is now another point is because this is under the Ministry of Renewable Energy. This is a new scheme under Ministry of Renewable Energy. So it is producing renewable energy. Overall, our capacity to produce renewable energy is going to be increased here, and 1,000 billion units under this program. To develop the required enabling ecosystem for rooftop solar projects, including regulatory support, manufacturing facilities, supply chain, boost local economy. Now, for setting up these solar panels, how it is going to work is, they have explained this in your article. There is a table which is telling you about subsidies. Okay. So the earlier government program was that we'll provide you the setup for free. Now this setup is not for free. What the government is doing in the current scheme is that roughly around 60% of the cost is going to be given. So 60% subsidy is there to set up that panel. And they have mentioned also that how this is going to be given. Around 30,000 up to 2 kilowatts per, and beyond that 18,000 additionally. Sorry. After this, for every new 1 kilowatt per, 18,000 will be given. That comes to roughly around 40%. So पहला first kilowatt बार के लिए 30,000, सेकेंड के लिए भी 30,000, बट उसके बाद 18,000 डिपेंडिंग ऑन कितना बड़ा यूनिट किसको लगाना है. The rest of the amount, so 60% का पैसा government is giving. The rest of the money you can get a loan for that. And loan is given with some relaxed terms. So they have mentioned the terms also: loan without collateral, loan with low interest rate, low in the sense it's 1.5% plus repo rate. Such condition is there. Around 7% collateral free loan is there. Okay, so people will, however, have to spend some money to set this up. Once it is set up, then of course we'll have more renewable energy. We'll have less dependency on the grid, all of that happening in the scheme. So this is a subsidy scheme where the funding is coming directly from the central government, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana. Okay. Okay. So with this, we come to our end. These were the 5 ministries I was supposed to do. I think you have one more session left, which will happen tomorrow, probably. Yes? Okay. Thank you. Have a nice day.